10. Eric Stagno. Planet Fitness prides itself on being a judgment-free zone, but one man apparently took the slogan a bit too literally in 2018 when he was seen exercising naked at one of the company's gyms in Plaistow, New Hampshire. 30-year-old Eric Stagno stripped down to his birthday suit, left his clothing at the front desk, and walked around before doing yoga, prompting gym employees to call the police. When he was approached by law enforcement, he reportedly cited the gym's judgment-free philosophy, but the explanation didn't fly with the officers, who took Stagno into custody on suspicion of indecent exposure, lewdness, and disorderly conduct. Throughout the court hearings, prosecutor Kevin Coyle accused the defendant of testing the limits of the judgment-free zone. Coyle also claimed that Stagno's behavior traumatized the front desk employee who was working on the day of the incident. Stagno was about to go to trial when he instead pleaded no contest to disorderly conduct. The judge overseeing the case found him guilty of indecent exposure and imposed a 4-month suspended jail sentence on the man as a result. 9. Travis Williams. In what may very well be the strangest arrest on today's list, a 23-year-old Miami man named Travis Williams appeared to be covered in white powder in his mugshot after being arrested in 2012. Police reportedly stopped at the scene after receiving a report about the suspect screaming obscenities outside the Bayside Marketplace. Williams was allegedly screaming at customers and making threats. In the section of his booking paperwork that asks the police to identify any scars, tattoos, and unique physical features, an officer wrote, "None visible." It's unclear whether they wrote that because Williams was covered in what looked like a thick layer of baby powder, or if Williams actually lacked any distinctive features. The police report provided very few details, perhaps because the suspect was already well known to law enforcement. According to the Smoking Gun, Williams had a 94-page rap sheet by the time the bizarre powder incident occurred. According to records, the unemployed repeat offender had been arrested dozens of times for burglary, grand theft, marijuana possession, trespassing, larceny, battery, and other crimes. Naturally, the public was curious about why he was covered in powder, but authorities unfortunately declined to provide that answer in the arrest report. One internet rumor claimed that Williams had stolen 5 pounds of baby powder from a CVS store, but these reports also misidentify the suspect as a North Carolina resident and aren't mentioned in any credible media sources. And while Williams had been charged with cocaine possession numerous times, it seems unlikely that anyone would waste copious amounts of the expensive drug by rolling around in it. The reasons behind his strange appearance remain a mystery to this day. 8. Bryant Johnson. One night in 2017, police in Casper, Wyoming received a call about a drunk man who was behaving strangely at a local residence. They arrived at the scene to find the subject of the complaint, Bryant Johnson, who claimed he was from the year 2048 and that he was an alien visiting to Earth to warn Casper's residents of an impending alien invasion. Johnson claimed that the extraterrestrials would arrive in the city the following year. He wanted to caution locals to leave as soon as possible and said that he wanted to speak with the president of the town. According to K2 Radio, Johnson told the responding officers that he was only able to time travel by having aliens fill his body with alcohol before he stood on a pad that transported him to 2017. He also explained that he ended up in the wrong year and that he was actually supposed to be in 2018. Besides observing the obvious aspects of Johnson's bizarre behavior, police noticed that his eyes were bloodshot, his speech was slurred, and he smelled like alcohol. He was subsequently taken to an emergency room, where it was determined that he was unable to care for himself and that he was causing a disturbance in the ER. His blood alcohol level allegedly tested at .136, way over the legal limit of 0.08. And in the end, Johnson was charged with public intoxication. 7. John Bennett. In 2016, Canadian authorities arrested an American man for allegedly paddling across the border illegally on an air mattress he bought at Walmart. 25-year-old John Bennett reportedly told police that he resorted to the unconventional crossing method after trying to enter the country legitimately and being turned away. A local resident called the police after seeing him using a piece of wood to paddle the makeshift raft across the St. Croix River that separates Maine from New Brunswick. Police found Bennett walking along a roadside in sopping wet clothes. Bennett claimed that he went to extremes to reach Canada because he felt a duty to protect his pregnant girlfriend who lived in the country. He said that the woman's ex-boyfriend was threatening her and that he was worried for her safety. As it turned out, officials denied Bennett entry at the Calais border crossing station because he was facing mischief charges in Canada at the time. After being turned away, most people would have given up, but Bennett was determined to get where he was going. In the words of the judge who oversaw his criminal case for the illegal crossing, Bennett intended to get to Canada, come hell or high water. In the end, though, he was sentenced to 2 months in jail. 6. Jesus impersonator. One day in 2018, sheriff's deputies responded to a call about a naked man who was seen lurking behind someone's home in Magoffin County, Kentucky. When they arrived, they found the suspect lying in some grass near the property. When asked for his name, he replied, "Maybe Jesus," and refused to provide any more information. According to law enforcement, he appeared to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol, possibly even both. The homeowner who made the 911 call claimed that the man was pouring liquid out of a gasoline jug around their house. When they asked him to leave, he allegedly went into the homeowner's car and stole several things. During his ride in the back of a police cruiser, the man yanked out the cord of one of the vehicle's radars. Apparently, he finally started to cooperate after arriving at the local jail, where he admitted that his name was Austin Johnson. The police were about to fingerprint him, so it's safe to assume that he knew they would figure out who he was eventually and decided to come clean. Authorities charged Johnson with burglary, indecent exposure, criminal trespassing, criminal mischief, public intoxication, and providing false identifying information to police. Unfortunately, the outcome of the case is unclear. 5. Albert Maruna. During a sting to catch predators who were targeting victims online in 2017, an undercover investigator began chatting with a man who was later identified as 22-year-old Albert Maruna from Youngstown, Ohio. Law enforcement would later accuse Maruna of believing that he was speaking with a minor and having bad intentions. According to an arrest report, the conversations began when Maruna responded to a dating ad posted by the fictitious victim. When he learned how young the individual was, he allegedly said he didn't believe in age. As you can likely imagine, the discussion soon became inappropriate, with Maruna even bringing up marriage at one point. He also tried to arrange a meeting with the undercover officer and made some unusual requests for what he wanted the person to wear. Maruna was accused of trying to bribe the undercover investigator to meet face-to-face with promises of bringing Sprite soda and chicken Alfredo. Police nabbed him when he was on his way to the meeting and found a container of the pasta in his car. To make things even weirder, Maruna reportedly didn't seem to understand the problem with his actions during questioning. However, the reality of the situation must have eventually sunk in, and he ultimately pleaded guilty to 1 charge of possessing criminal tools, 3 charges of importuning, and 4 charges of disseminating matter harmful to juveniles. As a result, the judge sentenced Maruna to 77 days in jail, followed by 120 days of house arrest and 3 years of probation. 4. Alva Richards. Ken and Annette Bienlin were fast asleep on the morning of their 55th wedding anniversary in 2018 when a van crashed into their Newburgh, Wisconsin home. The couple's neighbor was the first to call 911 after hearing a loud bang at around 3:15 in the morning. When the pair looked outside, they saw the vehicle embedded into the house, about 15 feet, 4.6 meters off the ground. It had driven up a retaining wall and smashed into the side of the residence. Ken Bienlin told Fox 59 that he awoke to the sound of the collision and found himself just inches from the minivan's rear bumper, while the front bumper ended up in the attic. Annette was in the bathroom at the time of the crash, which most likely saved her life. She said that if she'd been in bed, she would likely no longer be around. The close call left the couple feeling grateful to not only be uninjured, but alive. They were overcome with relief when they looked at each other and realized that they were both okay. According to a police complaint, the van's driver, Alva Richards, was found unconscious in the driver's seat. At some point, he fell out of the vehicle and onto the ground. He appeared disoriented and under the influence of drugs or alcohol. The man allegedly told a responding deputy that he smokes weed daily, but couldn't remember when he last used marijuana. Richards also said that he suffered from a seizure disorder. When his van was searched, a small amount of marijuana and a grinder were found inside. In the words of Jamone Engels, who worked for the company that towed the vehicle, "Every time you think you may have seen it all, something like this happens and it resets." Richards was taken to the hospital for a blood draw and was charged with reckless endangerment and possession of THC. And consequently, he was sentenced to a year in jail for his behavior. 3. Justin Lou Harris. When a wedding officiant asks if anyone objects to the marriage they're about to perform, most people don't expect anyone in the crowd to speak up. But that's exactly what happened to a Nevada man named Justin Lou Harris when he was at the altar in 2011. He'd invited his 55-year-old mother to attend the ceremony in Douglas County, but she disapproved of his bride. According to Harris, she walked into the church yelling and screaming. He said that he then carried his mother to the car because she had mobility issues. The pastor seemed to corroborate Harris's version of events, telling responding officers that the woman was very upset and pleaded with her son not to marry his fiancée. Harris's mother, on the other hand, told police a much different story. She claimed that as soon as she walked in the door, her son grabbed her by the neck of her shirt and dragged her out of the church, even though she had rheumatoid arthritis and walked with a cane. Authorities subsequently charged Harris with domestic battery, disorderly conduct, and coercion. And instead of exchanging vows and taking wedding photos, he posed for a mugshot. 2. Heather Underwood. 32-year-old OnlyFans model Heather Underwood was shocked when she learned that there was a warrant out for her arrest in 2022 over a garbage-related incident that happened 8 years earlier. The British bombshell, who lived in the English village of Nutton, told her social media followers that she was gobsmacked when a police officer knocked on her door one morning to inform her of the warrant. Underwood said she had no idea what the cop was talking about and that she was so shocked she began to shake. She was taken into custody before she was told that the warrant stemmed from an incident in 2014, when she left some bags of garbage on the ground next to the bins rather than inside of them. After sitting in a locked cell for several hours, Underwood was informed that the case had been discontinued, and she was released from custody. But it didn't make the ordeal any less traumatic or embarrassing for the young woman, who was especially horrified by the fact that she had no privacy while using the jail bathroom. Underwood further explained that she'd just moved into her previous residence when she found the garbage bins already full from her former tenants. Left with no other choice, she put her garbage next to the bins. She received a letter about it, but never heard anything else about the situation until her arrest 8 years later. It all amounted to what she described as a huge waste of time and money, not to mention needless emotional trauma. 1. Melody Duchesne. Since 2009, a video of a woman going on a rampage over her fast food order had gone viral on multiple occasions. The incident reportedly happened on New Year's Day at a McDonald's in Toledo, Ohio, where Melody Duchesne became outraged at an employee for refusing to serve chicken nuggets at 6:30 in the morning. Surveillance footage shows Duchesne punching the employee at the drive-thru window before trying to climb through it and into the restaurant. She then shouted, "I am going to end you," and threw a bottle through the window. Throughout the ordeal, staff members could be heard talking about calling the police before Duchesne finally sped off. She claimed she was drunk at the time of the incident, but it didn't seem to serve as a mitigating factor for her actions. As a result, Duchesne was sentenced to 60 days in jail and was ordered to pay for the damage she caused to the drive-through window. Would you rather have your mugshot go viral and be the first thing that pops up in a Google search of your name for years to come? Or have a ruthless ex-boss who constantly badmouths you when prospective employers call for a reference? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.